Hello, this here is the LEGO Ninjago Crystal King Temple set. I paid $80 US for this and built it live over on Twitch. This set comes with 6 minifigures, a mystical animal, and actually 2 main builds. So this part here is one thing. This is a separate thing entirely. It's not attached, and as far as I can see, there isn't even a way to attach them together because they're intended to be floating around in different areas. I think there are a bunch of different places that they took inspiration for the design of this realm, of this space. But I want you to see just generally what it looks like if you kind of try to bring things together. You notice this over here is doing some weird stuff. We'll look at that more closely. That is a tensegrity sculpture. If you remember a couple years ago, that was all the rage and everybody was talking about it and everybody was making videos about custom tensegrity things, and LEGO has finally caught up with that. It takes that long for them to bring products out because the product development process is not simple. So this here is a gauntlet. You can see there are a couple of ways that you can go up and kind of think of the dungeon-based theme, sub-theme that Ninjago did before. This is following that same sort of pattern and has some similar structures, the way that they did the stairs, especially the diagonal ones, the way it's all lined up, and the way that this is intended to have you making decisions along the way. They didn't put any official gameplay into this with dice or anything, but it works in a similar way. And you go along and you collect the reforged golden weapons. So they've got brand new molds for all of these. The shurikens work kind of the same as any of them ever have, but these are made from hard plastic instead of the soft rubbery stuff that comes on its own sprue. So you collect those, you look out for some of the crystal blades along the way, and these crystal blade pieces are really nice. You got the small one, there's also a really large one over there. It looks fantastic. This is done in trans dark pink color, and the idea is here when you're going up this way, you hop up onto this platform and it's floating in the air, right? So it's going to be moving around. You have to try to time it to be able to hop over to this higher platform where you're going to get to the sword on that side, but along the way this is going to come in the way, so you got to watch out for that. It's obviously nothing is connected, you have to do it all manually yourself. But here's what this one looks like. Not the biggest fan of this appearance, honestly. I like the old style better. This is interestingly done. You still got the dragon head on there, but it just doesn't look as cool to me personally as the classic design. This is much more interesting over here in terms of what they do for traps and things to worry about. This whole section of, you can see that the stairs are, just as it is right now, they're not looking particularly welcoming. It looks like it's falling apart, and indeed, if you get up onto here, this is going to go off to the side, and then this kind of just falls off. So there's a lever on the side which does have a connection, and just make it really easy for you to make that go back and forth, and it works. You don't have to do any special resetting along the way. You don't have to take any extra effort to line things up. So that's actually kind of nice, and choose how you want to do that. If you got to hop over to here, and then this is going to be just barely hanging on. There's another one of these blades here, but that's just for looks. It's just one of the crystals that has grown out of the space. But when you get to the top, to get to the nunchucks, there's an additional trap. So it's just a little booby trap. This would get pushed in. Again, you have to do it all yourself. So you really have to use your imagination and do imaginative play to make that work. The nunchucks themselves also have a new mold, just kind of sitting over the edge there. That's kind of cool. It's a little bit large, but you can see that there is a bar-sized protrusion on either side, so that's how they connected the chain to it. Yeah, it's just big, that's all. But I like the look of this one. And then this archway, or this gateway here, is nice. It has 3 stickers used on it, the first stickers that we've seen so far. One on either side here, and then one right up at the top. And that looks pretty good to me. I like all the trans pink elements throughout this. And then just one last time, bringing this around the other side so you can see what that looks like in total from some different directions. I don't like this flat space right here. It's just a whole lot of tile. I wish that they hadn't put in that many tiles. It doesn't really need that much tiling for that space. But otherwise, yeah, it's accessible and stuff. It's nice to have actual platforms to play on from LEGO. We don't get enough of that, I think. The Crystal King's floating throne island here looks really nice because it has so much of the trans dark pink on it, and they've recolored the long Technic beam pieces into trans dark pink as well, which I think that just works fantastically well. It just looks like magical energy is going through it, even though they're just straight. Still, the color really adds a lot of mysticism to it and really makes it look special to me. There's a bunch of upside down building, interestingly, on this. You can see on the back, this is all upside down built, that entire panel that's attached on there. And this looks, I'd say, pretty much equally good from all angles. The base has more of the crystal elements around it, including one of these crystal blade shaped pieces. Got a little bit of foliage hanging down over here. This is also half built upside down. This section, this whole side section, and a little bit of his studs on the side construction. That's done with a sticker. Anywhere that you see something like that, that's done with the sticker. Got the golden scythe right there in the center, which is a pretty good looking one. I dig that. I think that's a good look spot for a minifig, thankfully, to actually stand there or to have a fight. More of these sticking out. They just look so good to me. So good. And then you have the stairway over here by the side of the tensegrity little tricky setup. It's, all the weight is being held by this lower chain, and then the upper ones, you've just got tension up here. It's just preventing the whole thing from falling forward. It is not the best looking implementation of this concept I've ever seen, because this is just so short. This arm right here is so short that it doesn't, it just doesn't look that great. It doesn't look that believable to me. But when you see it move, I think it adds to the believability, or rather unbelievability of it. It doesn't make sense to look at it. Having these rock pieces recolored into the trans dark pink, I think is fantastic. Got a couple of the 1x1s down there on either side as well. This is all upside down and looks great. And then you come up to the top, and this is where the throne itself is. More of these sticking off to the side, done well. The throne is really straightforward. You can have a figure standing, kind of looking over the arena and the space, or sitting at the throne. There's plenty of room to get at it, and it's very decorative. More of the large the large crystal blade pieces back here, as you can see. This can be angled forward and back just a little bit to give a little bit of extra clearance, and that's the top of it there. It all goes together pretty quickly and easily, but I really like the finished effect of it. Last built up thing is this little crystal miniature dragon wyvern thing, which looks really cool. Like it has a good build to it, a good solid design for how small it is. It has good level of detail, has a little bit of posability. You can twist things around a bit. You can change the angles of the wings. The head, are those eyes or is that snout? I'm assuming that's snout right there. So nostrils, that's eye back here, and then it just has crystals on the head. And not the best head, but overall I like the brick build of this. Getting into the figures, Kai and Zayn here, with Zayn leaning back into the white more, still having the medium azure here as an alternate or an accent color, but then gray, light gray, rather than any of the silver. The only silver on him is just a little bit of printing for the belt buckle, a little bit of detailing that's added on around the knee pads, and of course his head and katana. The scabbard / half pauldron piece for each of these is done in gunmetal gray, so the dark pearl gray. We got the dark red accent for Kai there, but mostly just the regular red color. No alternate face still for Zayn, of course. Jay gets a little bit darker in his color scheme, with a lot of the dark blue from head to like knees, between the dark blue arms and the headgear piece, and also a lot of the printing on the torso and into the legs of the figure. Cole looks a little bit more, this takes him back, season 3-ish kind of feeling to me, just in his color scheme. Ever since they introduced the orange accent color, and he's also got the dark gray as the other accent color in there, which I think works out pretty well. That looks like a pretty proper Cole look to me. And underneath, nothing unsurprising here, and the same weapon loadout for each. And then here is the Crystal King himself on the left, and on the right is a Vengestone Guard. Crystal King has some really nice printing going through the torsos, plural, and all the way down into the legs. The shaping for the helmet, I feel, is a little bit lacking, or the mask is a little bit lacking in detail. You know, it has very rounded features, especially compared to that Vengestone guard over on the right. And I understand it's supposed to be like an Oni style of mask, but I just feel like it ended up looking a little bit melted and just really blended together in its physical shape. The quality of the printing, the production quality of the printing on there is very good. And I like the angle of the horns and how the horns work out that way. But I personally really prefer the Vengestone guard over here, who has transparent colored arms, both left and right. You just need to get a left leg to pair up with this down here to get some matching parts. The head on this one is done really well. Also, the shoulder armor piece, I think, is done really well. What they did with the head is not put a minifig head underneath there. It's just a single dual molded piece with a whole lot of hollow on the inside of it. So it's very empty on the inside, which allows a lot of light to come right through there. If they had done it with the minifig head piece underneath there, it would have needed to be thicker towards the rear, you know, where the minifig head needs to actually fit, and you would have ended up with multiple layers and multiple interface layers where you go between solid material and air, and then solid material again. So you would have just lost a lot more of the light. So this just makes it shine a lot more, which is especially nice. I like that. Now, underneath, is there any surprise here? Is there any surprise whatsoever that that's the face underneath there for the Crystal King? There shouldn't be. There really shouldn't be. I mean, look at all the rest of the stuff that's going on in this season and in this series. Plus, as of the time of the recording of this video, this has been revealed in the show. Nice printing on the back there, the back of the head, the front of it. Yeah, okay, that works pretty well. It goes with the gunmetal gray color in there for some of the accents, and kind of the dark flame background behind it, which I think is a good choice. It's subtle, but it looks pretty good. You're not going to see that all that frequently, but it is nice to be able to see that head a little bit easier than with some of the options. Some of the other options that would have been possible. You know, you just lift this up. You don't have to even take the whole thing off, and you just leave it like that and see its face. Finally, here are the leftover pieces, and that's a lot of extra weapon parts, including a bunch of duplicates and extras of golden weapons from that single pack. I like that. I appreciate the inclusion of a bunch of extras. There are also some nice pieces over here, including the new trans dark pink colored katana, which is produced quite well. And then this is the sticker sheet. Most of the stickers on this, I think, made sense. They're optional, but they do add to the look. In the end, I actually don't hate the retail price of $80 US for this, given that it is 2022. If we were a few years ago, I would have asked for it to be a bit less, but relatively speaking, for where we are today in this highly inflated market where everything is kind of ridiculously expensive, this isn't. Relatively speaking, I think that the amount of play value that you get here is pretty respectable, combined with the number of figures, the fact that the figures are produced well. I would like to have seen more of the Vengestone guards because they're awesome. They're massable. You know, I think it's always worth including at least a couple of grunt units, especially nice ones, in a given set. I don't think that would have required that the price go up that much. I actually could have done without this, but maybe it has some significance in the show in order to get another Vengestone guard. Other than that, a little bit more connectivity, even just for the sake of physical play between these, would have been nice. But yeah, there's plenty of good stuff here, and definitely some good pieces. So overall, yeah, I ain't mad at it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.